916 Podcast, Keith Jogonatis. Another episode in the building, the first of our solo interviews that will be conducted on this podcast. And I'm really excited because today, not only do I have one of the most important, influential artists we've had in like 15, 25 years in Sacramento from the city to be on here.
Shit.
But it's coming on the heels of his new project, which is supposed to debut in like, what you say, 8 days, 7 days?
15th.
It's called Joey. It drops on January 15th. Like that man said, ladies and gentlemen, the leader of the village, Jay Sirus.
My bro, I appreciate you.
What's up, man?
Dog. You know what I mean? I'm chilling, man. I appreciate you having me on, bro.
Long time no see, man. It's been a while.
That's a great introduction.
I try my best.
Can we cuss?
Of course. You can say whatever you want here. It's no worries.
All right, I just don't want to have to say.
But yeah, last time I saw you, whole different world. You were in SAC. You were on this show, Unplugged, John Wild, a whole crew. And then you decided to move to Los Angeles. First and foremost, why did you make the move? How important was it? And what do you think you gained from that experience?
To be honest with you, I just wanted to test the waters just because I know, like, we be going out to LA for 3 days and knocking out things we can do in 3 weeks, damn near 2 months out here in SAC. Sometimes I wanted to test the waters, but when we moved out there, it was like dead smack center of the pandemic. So it was just shut down. It was like very slim pickings on how you move out there. And so I wanted to come back damn near like 20 days into being out there.
You were there for like 10 days. You're like, bro, I got to get up out of here, man.
Well, yeah,
He's like, the move.
And that was like the biggest thing I learned though too, is just like, you don't have to like live out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, it's very smart too. I'm not knocking any of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I would, if the opportunity presents itself, I
For
definitely will be out there. But I mean, I can do the same shit right here. I feel like anybody can. I feel like some of the mentors that I worked with and shit, that was the first thing they told me. Like, you can do that from your house.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But you got to come out here and you got to make your moves when you need to. But, like, you can do that shit from the bumfuck nowhere and still pop. You got this internet, social media.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, but there you were. You got out there and you started working on this project. As we mentioned in the intro, Joey.
Yes, sir.
January 15th. Tell me on a scale of 1 to 10 how excited you are for this project and why this project is different than the other work that you've done in the past that's really been good. Why is this project different than everything else you've done in the recent years?
There's not even a fucking scale, bro. Like, I'm so excited about this. Just, and the difference is because I was so hands-on from the rip, like mixing it every session, like no matter who produced it, whatever, I wanted to touch the session. Besides Michael's song with John Wild, like John Wild's a genius, so I love like
Shouts out John.
Yeah,
John's a cool dude.
I love going into studio sessions and we always leave with something crazy. And so it's like I put that in his hands, and then Giannis was mixed by my boy Jay 3M. But other than that, like every record was mixed by me. And so I just have a different love for every single song on this album.
Well, you played some of it for me at my apartment, actually, earlier today, which I can't thank you enough because I know artists, you guys are really hands-on about who gets to hear it, obviously. But I thank you for trusting me with that. And really, you know, I think the one thing we were talking about with your music that I've always admired over the years is that there's a smoothness to it where it's like, it just flows. It just feels good, man. Like, you don't know how to explain it, but it's just like, it's smooth. Your voice, it pops off the charts. And I think when music, that's one of the things that's so hard to come by. Obviously, you have to have the content, but it has to be pleasant to the ear. Like, for you, when you were making this project, what was the vibe that you wanted the listener to have the minute they started hearing the first track to the minute they finished the last one? What was the vibe you wanted? What was the aim and the goal you were going for while you were making this?
That's why the reason why I call it like my freedom album is because I wanted to get away from that specifically. Like, I didn't want to be like, this is my one theme and this is like how the skits have to be. Like, I just feel like the attention span of people nowadays, like at the rate that I'm at and the fan base I got right now, like that shit's not needed. And so, but I definitely am a project-based artist, so I do want to sprinkle that as much as possible. But really, I didn't want a specific direction. That's why, like, Joey is Joey. It's just like I experimented. There was like times I was doing like full alternative shit, like only, like just because it's like I was just so tired of this rap shit. Like, just because I grew up on it my whole life, I've been rapping my whole life, and so of course, I just needed to get through that phase, and it helped me like really learn how to like do like background vocals myself, like my vocal range like changing. You hear it all over the album. I'm there's songs where I'm fully fucking singing and shit. So it's like,
do you ever think as an artist, like there's points where you guys, especially in music, because you're making music, I mean, you can go to the crib after you get done here and make a track, no problem. Yeah. All you need is a beat and maybe some other stuff and just have the lyrics and you're good. Do you ever think there's a time in your environment where you can get burnt out at times where whether it's people being too hands-on with the music, you feeling like you don't have enough control, or you feeling like it's not going the direction you want it to go? Was there ever a situation these last couple of years that you've been making music where you're like, man, I'm sick of doing the same thing, I want to change it up, but I don't know how? Has there ever been a situation like that?
Not necessarily, bro. Like, to be honest with you, that's like due to the village. Like, just my team, like, we depend on each other so much and shit like that, and we never had like a time where we just like was completely uninspired and shit, because we have each other to bounce off of. And so it's like that goes like Brandon, Vlad, and this even my homies in the village, you know what I mean? Like, they won't let me move on with shit until it's like actually good. You know what I mean? And so it's like, that's where that stemmed from the jump.
Well, I gotta be honest, man. We were talking about it at the crib, and I really am enamored with some of the people that you've got on this track list. Let me just give people at home, if you're watching this right now, a taste of the people that are gonna be on this project. Slimmy B from SOBRBE formerly.
Yes, sir.
You've got John Wild. Chippas with Giannis. We'll talk about that later now. I love that track. Zaya Bell. You got Nate Curry from Sacramento, Macramento. Shouts out to the Groovy.
That's my bro.
Yeah. Shout out to Nate. We'll get him back here again. And you were talking to me about not just how everyone was willing to say yes to jumping on this project, but you were surprised actually at how many people off the top you were like, yes, I'll work with you. Like, are you ever surprised as an artist? Because like there's thousands and thousands of rappers. There's thousands and thousands of R&B people. Are you ever surprised personally from when the time you started music to now, how maybe not necessarily easy it's been for people to want to work with you, but how without even hesitation, people are like, okay, yeah, I want to get on this track. I want to work with them because they respect what you do. Are you surprised at that often?
Hell yeah, for sure. Like, I be leaving sessions, like necessarily like the first reason session, shout out my bro, like we left Interscope and like me, Brandon, was like tripping in the car on the way home. Like, what the fuck? Like
what just went down in that
and that
building?
was a few years ago, and that shit still happens. You know what I mean? Like till this day. But it's like,
understood.
We just keep it day by day, and then it's like it's really not till after where we're like, fuck, like, you know what I mean? Because I never know. Yeah, but we're just working. You know what I mean? And so it's like, shit's resonating with the right people, and not only that, like it's resonating with people I'm actually fans of. And so like most of the time I'll reach out to people because I'm actually a genuine fan. And so they grasp onto the music and then become a fan too. Like that shit's always the best feeling.
Yeah. I mean, you know, this album, I feel like the way you're going with it and the track and the arc you've been on, it's going to be real interesting to see. So let's talk about, because this is the first time, brand new equipment. We've been wanting to do this interview for years, man. And I don't think really anybody's, you know, I mean, you've had situations like this before, but I think we really want to get to know who you've been since A to now. And so I think my next question is, let's talk about how you've gotten to this point in your career. So you grew up, and obviously you are a California kid at heart. You're a Niners fan, the area, all that. What got Jay Sirus started in making music? What was the one thing? Was it a situation where you heard a song? Was it a certain artist? Did you see a music video? Was there one thing that gravitated you towards the craft and the culture? Or did it just accumulate over time where you were like, you know what? I love rap. I love hip hop.
Yeah, like definitely all those things came in at a point, but really it was my older brothers. I just wanted to be like my older brothers. I'm the youngest out of 7 kids, and it's 5 boys, 1 girl, 6 boys, 1 girl, I mean. And my oldest brother put out an album in 2003, and all my other brothers rap. My brother Richie made beats. Like, everybody was doing music, and so I just wanted to be like them. And so when I would see them out front on a Friday night of my house, like ciphering, and I would come out there and like spit some shit, like 7 years old, 6 years old, and get a reaction. That's what started it all. Like, damn, I can get all these people's reactions. Yeah, it was even younger than that. They had me rapping crazy shit when I was a little kid, man. I was cussing, talking about shooting people when I was only I wasn't putting nothing out. I was a dumbass. Of course, my mom and dad didn't hear that shit either. They'd have smacked me in my mouth, but my brothers had me doing some wild shit. So it got to a certain point where they were like, bro, like, you're actually tight. Like, you know what I mean? It was like 8 years. I think it was like 8, 9 years old. And they're like, stop talking that dumb shit. You know what I mean? Like, don't cuss in your raps no more. Like, I took it as a challenge, like not to cuss at all in my raps or do any of that until I was like 14. I would still talk my shit, but like, I just felt like it was corny as a kid cussing, you know what I mean? But it was just always my older brothers, man. I wanted to be like them. So.
Well, you mentioned your family a lot in your music. I think that's the one thing that I've always found like really touching and respectful about you is that you've always channeled these experiences in your life, whether it's on 68 Cutlass or you made a whole song about your sister, Gina, who means the world to you. And so you have all these songs where you're dropping like hints about your past and your childhood. Like growing up, how big of an influence was your family for you? Because obviously if you're mentioning them in your music constantly, it had to have been a situation where like your family really shaped and crafted who you are as an artist and who you are as a person now. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Like everything, really, bro. Like everything. We're so close knit. Like my family just by themselves is just, we depend on each other so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My pops is my best friend. He wanted to be here right now. You know what I mean? And so
shout out Pops.
Yeah, he's 62
Me and my
years
papa
old.
fishing.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He's 62 years old and he's still right here with and all the sauce. Like that's my dude. And my mom's you know what I mean? That's my mom. I'm a mama's boy at heart. So like, you know what I mean? That resonates there, but like I'm always my brother's keeper. You know what I mean? I'm always protecting my brothers. And so it's like, we came up together, always depended on each other. And so that's the only shit I can rap about really because it's all I know. Like I'm not out here faking the funk or like doing any weird shit. So it's like.
Well, you mentioned that part. And I feel like, you know, a lot of people nowadays, and it's not a disrespect to anybody, but I feel like there has been that contingent in hip hop where it's like, you know, if I can fake it till I make it, or if I'm talking about something I really didn't do, but I play it off as I was involved in that kind of thing. It's a two-way street because one, people can resonate to it sometimes with certain artists, but then two, if they find out you're lying, there's no coming back from it.
Yeah.
And so I think for you, you've always been able to stand on your own too and get that respect from the peers because you're not talking about anything that really didn't happen in your life. You know what I'm saying? And so for you, how important is it to be authentic? Because on one hand, you know, as a friend of mine, I know you would never want to sell yourself out for success. But I think also looking at you now, I feel like, you know, you really are comfortable in your skin and the success you've had because you have no regrets about saying anything that didn't happen in your life or wasn't true.
Word. And that actually like goes back to my brothers again. Like rapping as a kid, I start talking bullshit or fabricating something and they're going to clown me.
Yeah.
I'd be like, shut the fuck up. Like,
because you know your bros are going to hear that.
But then it resonated into my best friends because like the village is all like, you know what I mean? It's my childhood friends and we're still rocking, you know what I mean, till this day. And so it's like, we are 15, 16, 17, and they'll clown the fuck out of me if I drop some like cornball shit. Or you know what I mean? Or even at the beginning, when I was dropping cornball shit, like in high school and shit like that, they would not even bat an eye to it. Be like, whatever, like, let me know when you're dropping some heat. You know what I mean?
Let me know when the real stuff's coming.
And so there was a time where I started making music to impress my friends, but at the same time, that shit was like growing me as an artist. And I was already like seasoned and like recording myself. I've been recording myself since a child. And so it's like, I just took full advantage of that shit.
Well, anybody that follows you knows that you have your own world, which is the village, like you just talked about recently. And, you know, you mention it every turn you get, the tree emojis. And really for your fan base, it's become a battle cry, man. Like, you know how every single artist has like their own thing, like Cole has Dreamville. Yeah. Jay Sirus has the village. And so it's just, you know, I think it's crazy how, like you said, it started as a group with your friends. And over time now, with all these followers, all these people who follow your music, the village has become like a passionate, you know, rite of passage for all your fans. Everyone knows about the village. So if you're a Jay Cyrus fan, you're part of the village. Like, how did that concept start exactly when you were starting it out? What did you even think to be like, you know what, I'm going to call this the village? That's what I'm going to call it.
Well, we always just rock together. What's crazy is I know it's the specific time, story, everything that happened, like it all came together. And we're in Chico. and I was shooting a video. I think this is
all the crazy things happen in Chico,
man. And this is 2016, and this was like, if you know, 2016 was fucking lit. That shit was lit. You know what I mean? And so
real good year for me, must admit.
we're just so close knit, and so I was shooting a video, and Chico and my closest homies, Alec and Julian, they threw a day party at Alec's house and a night party at Julian's.
Always a party in Chico.
Yeah, and we shot the video. I flew my boy Ben for that out from New York, everything. He shot the day video and the night video. So it's something we never even dropped. This shit I'm gonna put it in like a documentary or something. But yeah, man, that's where we're fucking doing wild shit in Chico. And I just remember seeing, like, I had it in my head for a minute and just seeing all my homies super lit like that and hella supportive. I like threw it out to my boy Ryan, my boy Bus, and he was like, started like spreading it around to the homies, like, man, we're the village, like Joe's gonna start branding that shit, like and it just stuck so easy because it was like we actually got to label our close knit group of friends. And it's like, it's really on some brother shit. Like, people use that word way too much. You know what I mean? Like, I can depend right now, call one of my homies and they'll come, you know what I mean? And
no problem.
Anytime and shit. That's real village shit. That's why it's inked in my neck and shit like that. That's like not no gimmick shit at all. Like, we really grew up together since children. Pop Warner, you know what I mean? And we're still rocking together, still take care of each other and shit. So,
do you think having that support group has carried you? Because obviously, whatever journey you have on in life, you're gonna hit moments where you're like, man, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I know for sure, like, this journey I've had, I'm like, man, I should just pack this up. I don't know if it's worth it anymore. But at the same time, like, you always have that one contingent where it's like, no, you got to keep going. Has there been instances in your life where you're like, man, I really don't think this is for me anymore? And your friends are like, no, bro, you got to keep doing this. Like, we see something in you that needs to come out, that the fans that listen to your music need to hear.
Hell yeah, bro. Like, for sure. Like, shit gets discouraging all the time. The thing is, too, though, is like, it's embedded in me in a weird way, bro. Like, I wake up every day and I have a bad day if I can't, like, have a coffee and listen to my music or something like that. Like, you know what I mean? And so it's like, they definitely push me through hard times, and they still do and shit like that. But it got to a point where I was just recognizing how much effort they were putting into the brand and the music and everything, that it was just an unspoken thing. Like, I just knew it was real as fuck. You know what I mean? And they knew
it's gotta happen.
Yeah. Like, anything they could do, you know what I mean? My homies will travel with me just to, like, help me run merch if I didn't have anybody. You know what I mean? And so Tour proved a lot of that shit too. Like, I had homies showing up in Reno, LA, the Bay, like any California date, they're showing up, helping, doing whatever. Yeah. So real squad shit.
Real squad shit. That's the only way you could define that. Real squad shit. Real interview so far with Jay Sirus, man.
My bro.
Let me ask you this. Because every artist, I feel like I have to ask them this question. You know, there was that moment in your career, obviously, like any other artist who's been on the rise or who's gotten that play, where you finally caught that break, it feels like. What was the moment for Jay Sirus where somebody either reached out a helping hand or somebody gave you a piece of advice or put you on some game where you were like, you know what? I never knew that until now. And when you found it out, it just took you to that next level. What was that moment in your career so far, whoever it is, whatever happened, where you're just like, man, you know what? That's what catapulted me to this next step in the career for me. What was that moment?
Where, I mean, yeah, and there's a lot of people, bro, that, like, helped me that I want to show love to, you know what I mean? But, like, really a big turning point too was, like, when I went on tour, like, my boy Ford just, like, he just had a blueprint. That's why we still respect it till this day. Shit, he still does it till this day. You know what I mean? It's just like 85% of these rappers can't do that shit that he was doing. Like, the fan bases and the regions he was touching, and fucking middle of nowhere in Washington, bringing out like 800 people and shit, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, crazy shit like that. Like, there's a lot of people that can't do it. And so me seeing that game and, like, seeing that blueprint, like, it just made it possible for me to be like, I could really do this shit by myself. Like, I don't need nobody. Like, I can put out the music I want to put out and do it by myself, because there's a huge lane that's not tapped in with it. And so it's just like running with that shit over the last 3 years, like, definitely helped form the way we move and shit. But yeah, we gotta just keep it moving with that type of same cultivated fan base shit that I learned from 4 on tour. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, that was probably like such a big turning point. You know what I mean? And there's countless things around that and countless people that helped me with shit, but that was definitely where I got back off tour and I was like, yeah, I'm for sure doing this for a long time. Yeah.
And then also, I think that the one thing I've always resonated with you is that, like, when we talk about the music, I mean, obviously, you need, I think with music, it's a double-edged sword sometimes, because you need to have the lyrics and you need to have the content. But at the same time, if you can't push it the same way that somebody else might, who might not even have that, you know, the press and things like that, it's a hard hill to run up on, you know what I'm saying? And so for you, have there been instances where you're like, you know, I know my stuff is really good, I know my content is good, but why am I not getting the press that so-and-so is? Or you've always just been like, you know what, I got blinders, I guess I can only focus on myself?
Shit, man, like, we always kept it moving through the mud and shit, and it's like, there's always circumstances to everything. Like, learning and getting seasoned over the last 4 or 5 years and shit, like, if you don't put in full effort into like something like Joey specifically, like, I have a checklist just personally of like, this is one of them, like a 9. This is, I learned from a mentor like last year, like, bro, every release you do, you should have a 9-step checklist. Like, whether it's a release party, whether it's an interview, whether it's something, like, what's your fucking plan? Like, what are you doing with it? You
what's
know
the goal? What are we trying to gain out of this?
Yeah, and so, like, that's what it is right there is most, bro. Like, I just try to, oh, my bad.
No,
but, yeah, nah, so I just try to.
In real time.
Yeah. So, what was the point of it again?
So, I mean,
I smoke hella weed, bro.
At least you're honest.
Hey, I'm surprised I lasted this long, not forgetting.
21 minutes like in, that. And we've already got our first Jay Cyrus, like, marijuana confession.
My homie's gonna drill me for that shit. Nah. I just be rambling, that's why.
You know, let me ask you about that, though, because I think that, you know, there is, like, this thing where it's, like, certain artists not necessarily need something to, you know, get them in the zone. You know what I'm saying? But I think for you, you know, is marijuana something that you've, you know, used to, like, find, I think, maybe certain niches or certain lyrics that maybe you couldn't have found if you weren't in that zone? Like, is there a certain thing that you need to, like, record? Like, do you have to have a certain food or drink in order for you to, like, get where you need to go?
I try not to, like, be superstitious like that. Weed, on the other hand, hell yeah, I have to have weed.
Big weed advocate.
Big weed advocate. Shout out Casa Flora. Shout out the family. That's what we do, that shit for a living. You know what I mean? I just try to help out as much as I can, but they go crazy, and that's the family and shit. But
try to plug the brand.
Huge weed advocate for sure.
All right, I feel you. So, you know, you've been making music like crazy over the years, and I think in this back end of the interview, we'll get into all of that because there's, I mean, so much I can talk about. But recently, you have a new single, and this single, you actually have 2 of them. So obviously, let's talk about this song with your brother, Mr. Bugby, Sunset.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't know if it's anything different that you've done, but I mean, like, I just get this vibe from this song where obviously the music video, I mean, listen, if you watch the music video, it speaks for itself. Whole lot of women, big pool party, everyone's having a good time. You kind of feel jealous because you want to be there. So now you're, like, resentful. So you're like, thank you, Bugby and Jay Cyrus, for making me feel like making me feel like my life isn't worth a damn, but okay.
Shit.
What was the inspiration behind that song? I mean, obviously Bugby is, you know, he's a ball of life. He's got a whole lot of energy. People click to him. He just likes to have a good time. And I'm assuming you like to have a good time. Like, is it a situation where, like, you guys bring the best out of each other and just that came out on the song?
Hell yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Just because, I mean, we're close ass friends, so we'll be having studio sessions where we don't even get shit done sometimes. That was like, we work hella good together. You know what I mean? But it's just his family, you know what I mean? But, like, we were in a time in like a half bottle of tequila. And
we were at a time with the bottle of tequila. Like, real fucked up pandemic time. And so, like, it was me, him, and Ted, and we're drinking and we're making Ted get fucked up. Ted Digital don't drink like that. Shouts out to Ted for at least taking the plunge.
Yeah, and we just, like, there's no events and shit for us to go to or anything. So we just wanted to make something that, like, could, like, spiritually bring people out of this, like, show. You feel me? And, like, feel when they're listening to it, like, just either if it's bringing back good memories when you're turning up or like what you're about to do when we get out of this bullshit. But like, yeah, it was just a good time, man. Too, it was just like Ted was playing that fucking guitar thing for like an hour straight. And then we made the song in like 25 minutes. Like, but it was fire, man. It was hella fire. I love that shit, man. Shout out Bugby.
What we really want to know is, on this sub question, what's the craziest party story you can give with you and that involves you and Bug that you can tell us? I mean, obviously in my podcast, I mean, you can swear, so you might as well just tell us the craziest story at this point. I mean, like, what's the craziest thing you can either remember or that it's worth telling and he won't get mad at you for it?
Oh, fuck.
So he's thinking about it right now. He has it in his mind. He's like, can I tell it?
Me and Bug, we got countless like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. nights where we're just sitting there rambling to each other and shit. But like, to be honest, he's a dad. So like when I get on demon time, like Bugby really can't be on that much demon time with me. You know what I mean? So
he's responsible.
He's a responsible turnt motherfucker. You know what I mean? For sure. And so it's like I responsibly get fucked up with Bugby. And so there's no like, we have countless crazy ass stories, but one specific one. Oh shit, you might get a little mad.
Here we go.
But he performed at the Golden One Center last year, and then he like made me and my little bro like go to a party. I forgot where it was. It was like it was a get together. But I think we're really just stopping there to like grab some shit. And like me and Bugby tuck off and we're in like a deep ass conversation in the hallway and we're just like talking. And then we go back and we left my little bro Brandon there in the kitchen. And he's looking at me through the kitchen just like, bro, get me the fuck out of here. And there's just like 6. There's hella females there too, so don't get me wrong.
That's always a plus.
But there's like 6 of the biggest cock diesel motherfuckers with their shirts off, sitting, like say Brandon's right here at the kitchen table. They're all sitting around him at the table with their shirts off. It was the funniest shit I probably ever walked into. And Bugby was just like, all right, that's it, we're gone. But like me and Bugby was so dead and Brandon was so uncomfortable. He's like, bro, what the fuck you guys leave me here with these motherfuckers?
What am I doing here, man?
Yeah, and then we ended up at John Wild's at like 3:30 in the morning. It made John have a session with us. He was up and going anyways. But we went there, and the moment we got there, damn, my mom's gonna listen to this. I don't know if I say all that. But we got. We're
sorry in advance.
Yeah, no, we got.
We didn't force him to tell us.
Yeah, no. John had some like weird little psychedelic shit that like I like microdosed. It's like some mushrooms or whatever. Definitely wasn't microdose. I'm saying that because I'm thinking of my dad.
It wasn't what it was, man. It wasn't what it was.
Yeah, but I started making a song with him, or me and Bugby started trying to make a song, but then it was like 6:30 a.m. and I just started tripping hella bad. And so Bugby had to Uber me and Brandon from Roseville to Galt.
It just took you out like that much?
Oh, I was done, bro. I was gasping for air, and then the Uber driver came. No disrespect to Uber drivers, but man, this motherfucker stunk so bad, bro. So I'm like fully like having not a good trip or anything like that, and my head's out the window like gasping for air and shit. That sounds like super sloppy, but it was after a Golden One show with Bugby, so y'all can kiss my ass.
I heard Bugby had that place lit, man. Apparently that was lit afterwards.
Hell yeah, he killed that shit, man. But yeah, he's probably gonna be paid for music and that shit. So is Brandon.
Shout out to Bug, man. Yeah. We're gonna get him on soon too. Yeah. I'm actually gonna send him this, and I'm like, yeah, this is the template.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. I mean, you grew up in the city of Galt. Correct. Yeah. And obviously Galt is, in the surface of Sacramento. And for you, you've made so much music where you talk about this city. And you even come out with this song called Sacramento with Brandon. And it's one of the most honest, truthful, like I'm listening to this song and it's like I know like 10 or 20 people who are the characters involved in this song. And that's like when music hits hard because you can relate to what is going on in the song. Like for you, what is the impact of Sacramento, the city, had on your life and your music where it's inspired you to always rep where you're from and at the same time pay homage to it in the music? What is it about it?
It's a huge part, bro. I love Sacramento. It's like I was, of course, born out here. I'm the youngest out of 7.
Yeah.
And so there was only a select time where I was like really living day to day out here as a kid until I think I was like 5 or 6. I believe we're in Highlands. And then we moved from Highlands to Galt, but my whole family is like from the north right there. And like, so all our family functions, all my cousins, they're all from right there. And so it just always held a big part in my household. And my brothers, when I say I'm younger, like my closest brother is like 5 years older than me. And you know what I mean? And my oldest brother is like 11 years older than me or something like that. So they were actually like really out here, you know what I mean, functioning and doing shit around. I was really like the last one. And so I remember Galt hella more, you know what I mean? But Sacramento still played a huge role in my household a lot. And I was just there damn near every single day of my life. My grandma still lives in Highlands and all that. So.
And then you talk about the music aspect. I mean, you work with so many Sacramento artists, like obviously, you know, Bug, and we've talked about it, Nate Curry and the vibes. Like for you, how important has it been not just to, you know, I mean, obviously you're still going and you're still on the rise, but obviously in the past, there have been artists from the city, artists from the area who have had so much respect for you. They want you to work with them. And so for you now, do you find yourself in a situation where with whatever attention or, you know, buzz your music's getting, you want to make sure that you pay that back as well and involve yourself with artists who are also doing the same thing? How important is it for you to work with people where you have good friendships, but at the same time, you're also making good music?
Word, like I mean, it's all part of the character like that. You know what I mean? Like I love creating with somebody that's as hungry as me or like trying to do the same shit as me. You know what I mean? At a big, like, for example, like Nate, like me and Nate probably made like 15 fucking songs in the last 2 months. You know what I mean? He's only on one song on my album, but it was like we were doing like a bunch of different shit and random shit for other people. But it's like, it's so easy to work with somebody like that, knowing that like without each other, we're still gonna be doing this shit. Like no matter what, I'll be cool. You know what I mean? And so right there, like a lot of like weird shit is cut out instantly. You know what I mean? Like we just have a lot of genuine respect and love, and we're two hella different artists. You know what I mean? And shit like that. Same with Bug, like all that, Don Quez, like all the homies I love. I feel like that's always been a goal. Go out and put in the work and be able to bring back to the homies and fucking my biggest, you know what I mean, Brandon at the most right there. You know what I mean? I used to drag that motherfucker on stage with me and he didn't even know how to perform, bro. You know what I mean? And so shit like that, I love giving back to my folks for sure.
Do you find yourself at this point in your life, you know, I guess you could say being more open? Were you always so, you know, open about revealing, you know, the battle wounds and the scars that you accumulate over time growing up? I mean, obviously, every human being goes through rough patches. And I think that's why a lot of people resonate with your music. Not that you had struggles, but that you're willing to get on a mic and get on in a studio and say, this is who I am. This is why I am the way I am. And I'm not ashamed of that. I think that's why a lot of people look at your music and say, you know what? I have great respect for him and I resonate with it so much because that's my life he's talking about as well. I'm not alone. I don't feel like, you know, that I'm alone in a situation where certain people feel like no one else knows how I feel. Do you feel like you've been always so open to reveal who you've been as a person over the years?
Yeah, for sure. Like, to reiterate, like, I love to rap, but I hate fabricating shit. I just hate all that. I don't want to say hate so much, but like
you dislike
it a lot.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's like it naturally comes out, and then I just have like a dog mentality where I just don't give a fuck really at a point what people are gonna think about what I'm talking about or anything. And you know what I mean? I definitely like being a vulnerable type artist because it is as real as possible, you know what I mean? And it's like people relate to that shit. Like you're not the only one going through something, you know what I mean? So it's like I feel like I'm talking for thousands of people, you know what I mean? And so it's like that allows me to be myself. They don't want to hear that and then come and look at like some super fabricated, gimmicky ass motherfucker, you know what I mean? And so it's like that helps me stay in my lane, I feel, as much as possible, and it allows me to be hella diverse, you know what I mean? But just being open just comes super natural, bro, just because it's like that's all I really know. to talk about.
I feel you on that.
And I don't give a fuck what people think.
Hey, you know what? That's always a good thing to have. That's always a good trait. So
Straight up, yeah.
You can put it on a resume, does not give a fuck what people think. And everyone might resonate with that. You know, I want to talk about, you know, obviously the new projects coming out, but I think everyone's always going to relate to the old stuff. It ages like fine wine for me. I mean, it's on my playlist 24/7. 1106, man, was like, it's one of my favorite works from you. It's a lot of emotions. Obviously, you mentioned your family in it. You have songs like 65 Shots, which I think was important because it's a time in our country where, you know, police brutality and police violence and racism. And obviously you having friends of different colors, same as everybody else in California, is a melting pot. Like when you made 65 Shots, take me to that time and place, because obviously it's dealing with everything. There's a slew of, you know, cases in the United States where, you know, black and brown people are being harassed and killed. And it's not all what the, you know, the news thinks. And at the end of the song, there is, you know, the point where the static hits and the police arrested a man who, you know, like for you, what was the inspiration behind that song and what led you to get to that production specifically?
My bro AC, Anthony Chapman, my dog.
Shout out Chapman.
Yeah, AC, the producer, man, he's a legend. He's actually a really, really close family friend and a friend. And he was in Galt from LA. He was staying with us for a few days. And I needed a banger. And then my boy Kels from Louisville, he was in town as well. And he's so talented, bro. Like, you can give him an idea and let him sit in a studio by himself and he'll go crazy. But he had a loop playing. AC was playing a loop, and my little bro was just like, "What's there to think about?" You know, he like said it out loud, like the first like bar, and I just ran with it. And then the natural bars that came out just was kind of touching on the times we're in. You know what I mean? And then Kels took that and ran with it once he heard both my verses. And went stupid. Like, Kels went hella crazy. And then it just all kind of resonated again because we come off the chest. Like, you know what I mean? We're not sitting here, like, plotting, like, we have to make a song feel like this. You know what I mean? It's just like we're all speaking off the chest and we're speaking about real shit. Yeah. That production sounded like it did. The times we were in were crazy like they were. You know what I mean? And shit came off the chest. You know what I mean? And so we were going wild in that motherfucker. I actually had to drop AC off at the studio or at the airport the next morning, and we put that shit on repeat like 25 times. Like, just like, fuck, like this is a banger. Just AC would be like, spark another one, like replay. You know what I mean? So,
one more time.
Yeah. So you know what I mean? And that's my folks. Like, we're all folks, and so that shit just comes off the chest, man. And
then obviously, I mean, listen, we talk about things aging like fine wine. A Place Called Home. I mean, who doesn't like A Place Called Home? You know what I'm saying? I'll give you a quick story about this. So I'm listening to music with my pops. We're getting ready to watch the Rose Bowl. And he's talking about how he feels like hip hop is stereotypical. It's this, it's that. And I played Lonesome for my pops. And my father is a 65-year-old grown man who grew up in East Sac.
Shout out, Pops.
Not really a big hip-hop fan. And my father, at the end of this song, for whatever reason, broke down in tears. Wow. And I asked him,
holy shit.
I asked him, Pops, why are you crying? And he said, because I just feel like this is something that resonates in my life. Grew up in Sacramento his whole life.
Wow.
And he broke down in tears. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it because my dad, you know,
that's crazy, bro.
But you know, I think that for me, you know, I'd been hearing about you for a while, and I put that on, and I said, wow, this dude has something special. And I just listened to A Place Called Home, and I'm like, this dude's talking about my life. It feels like certain situations, not the whole thing, but there's certain situations in that album where I resonate, and I'm like, damn, like for you. When that project got done, because I remember when Twitter was popping. Everyone says Twitter's dead, but, you know, Twitter's Twitter. But I remember, like, I followed you, and it was, like, hit, like, mention after mention, and, like, it was going through the roof. Did you expect the way that discography was, you know, looked at and listened to blow up the way it did for you?
First off, shout out Pops, bro. That's amazing. I love hearing shit like that. It keeps me going. That's why I do this shit. You know what I mean? So shout out Pops.
Pops gonna like this.
Yeah, and then yeah, actually, I kind of knew that shit was gonna do what it did just because it was coming off a tour. I had some really dope features like Reason. Shout out my boy Reason for Chaz French, of course Brandon. You know what I mean? And so I knew it was gonna do. I didn't expect it to do what it did. Like a fan hit me and was like, "Yo, congrats! Like you're number 47 on the top 200." I was like, I damn near got like offended, bro.
You were like, how dare they put me at number 47?
No, hell no. I was like, I thought she was lying, like trying to cap on me. Like I didn't expect it at all, bro. And I literally logged into my regular iTunes, went to hip hop, went to top 200.
There you were.
And it was at 47, bro. That was probably one of the most surreal moments for sure. Fucking crazy. And then it went up all the way, I think, to 39.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or was it 40? I don't know, but I don't give a fuck. Like, you know what I mean? They made it in the top 50, the top 200 albums in the world of hip hop. You know what I mean? So, like, that was fucking crazy for sure. So it was slightly expected because I was like, we had good, you know what I mean, reception off of tour and shit, but like, I didn't expect that to happen for sure.
Are you ever surprised personally, like, at how your music over the years has been received? For every rapper, hip hop artist in Sacramento, if I had $1 for every hip hop artist or somebody that told me I do music or I'm doing music, I would have enough money to pay my rent and get the stimmy 2-3 times over, which I haven't got, by the way. But for you, how surprised are you every time you put something out, from the first time you dropped a track to now, where you're like, I'm still in, are you ever in disbelief that people are in love with your music the way they have been, and the messages you get, whether it's on Instagram or Twitter, like from fans and people in the city who know who you are, like, oh, this song, this thing. Are you ever surprised still at how, you know, well received your content is anymore?
It's really fucking appreciated. Like, I appreciate everything like that, but I want so much more, bro. Not to sound like, you know what I mean, like ego and shit like that, but I just like, I want so much more. And so it's like, I always wanted this, and I hella appreciate the love that I already get, and I'll never forget it. And you know what I mean? But it's like, I need that times like 100.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like that idea right there. And I'm not like expecting too much because I'm taking it day by day. But it's like, I want to be able to sell out shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, constantly sell out shit. And so that's always been my goal. I want to cultivate a fan base to where I'm selling out shit when I'm like 35.
If I give you a time machine and I say, you get to go back 10 years, shit. Jay Sirus, 10 years, you get to go tell yourself from 10 years ago something that you know now that you wish you knew then in your career, what advice are you going to give? What would you tell yourself from what you've experienced in the business now to what you didn't know when you were just first starting out?
Not to have a girlfriend. First off.
Is it hard to, like, you know, because
I'm talking about early on. Right now I'm a grown man. I can manage that. You know what I mean? Okay. But like, I can manage that right now. But like, as a kid, you just got to know what you're signing up for. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I'm a ruthless motherfucker. You know what I mean? And so it's like, just don't have a girlfriend, bro. Go get your shit. You know what I mean? And if you do have a girlfriend, like, make sure that she really is like supportive in the right way.
Well, you talk about that kind of in your music, where it's like you went through situations where you were like, I can't believe, you know, I went and gave out my heart to my bitch and she declined it. You know, Have you experienced situations in your music where maybe the feeling never goes away, where you're like, I can't believe I got played like this? But do you also think it's helped you grow as a person, where you're like, you know what? I know what I'm looking for. I know what I expect if I ever go back down that road. And so it's a live and learn kind of thing?
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like any man that, you know what I mean, is able to carry his own, that like got played or anything like that, you kind of always keep that chip on your shoulder. You know what I mean? And there's a difference.
Never goes away, man.
And so, but it also like raises my respect for women a lot. you know what I mean, being in those early situations, because like I'm not gonna waste your fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like if I don't see something, I'm not gonna waste your time and shit. And so other than that though, yeah. No women talk.
No women. No women 2021. No women 2021 for Jay Sirus.
Nah, man. I just, you know what I mean? The chip on the shoulder will always be there. But not only that, like, I'm a lover boy, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
he's a lover, not a fighter, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm a lover boy. I mean, I am ruthless and shit like that. And we all us men be on demon time sometimes. But I still love to snuggle at night. Don't get me wrong.
Does somebody have to snuggle to like get your attention? Do they have to be a good snuggler?
Hell no. What the fuck?
Yeah.
You ain't snuggling with me if I don't fuck with you. For sure.
You know,
I'm not a random snuggler. No random snuggling around.
There you go. There you go, man. You know, you talk about the village and you talk about the group of friends you have around you. And I feel like for any successful person, if you're going to be successful at anything, you've got to have like that core nucleus of people that you can rely on. Especially in the music industry. Like I'm sure in Sacramento, when you started getting really popular, there were people that were like, oh, we got to work together. Like that's the one thing I hear all the time is like, oh, we got to work, we got to connect. And, you know, oftentimes I'll be like, okay, let's do it. But like, you know, like there's certain people that are serious about it, have good intentions. And there's always going to be that other group where it's like, they're looking to get what they can get out of it and use you for what you need and dip. Right. Like, how do you go about like, signaling to yourself, okay, this is a person I can trust and work with, as opposed to somebody like, no, that person's intentions and that vibe is just off. Like, how do you facilitate that and process that in your mind?
Shit, being seasoned, like fucking being in their position at once. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're really hungry and shit like that, like, not just being a complete opportunist, you know what I mean? But if you're really hella hungry, you're gonna be hungry for opportunity. So if a motherfucker starts popping in the city, you're gonna want to try to tap in with them.
Of course.
So my ears are always open, no matter what. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're gonna tap in with me, and then you're really gonna show me that you're like hella hungry, and we could cross brand, and I could actually like really help you because I'm a fan of you and shit like that. It's a given, you know what I mean? Like, I'll fuck with you for sure, but like, you know what I mean? You still get the random shit though, too, you know what I mean? But you just got to keep it moving, keep it in your request column.
There you go. Yeah. In the request column. I don't have that problem. I may have one or two at the most. What's your request column looking like? 20, 30, 40?
Yeah, let me see.
Let's the real time. What his request is. You might be on this list.
Oh, shit.
There might be some people on this list who are like, I hope he accepts my request.
I'm at 24 requests.
24 requests. Shout out Kobe. Let me ask you this about the music industry. Because you're really popping in a time in the music industry where it's different maybe than 20 years ago. Like, Too Short always talks about that story where like he was in Oakland and in the Bay and selling CDs and mixtapes out his trunk, like the cassettes. And the drug dealers would come by and be like, how much you want for this? They would pop it into the track a player and they'd be like 20, and they give it to him right there. And you know if it's hot or not because the drug dealers take it. Like in this generation, it's not so much about albums anymore. Everyone's got one of these. We've all got Spotify. We all got Apple. And so there is that situation where like you can just drop something on the internet and people can like mention you in your story. They can play it on their aux cord and like record themselves listening to the music. Do you think that social media and technology specifically have helped the music industry and artists who might not have gotten that push if there wasn't that network to network with? Or do you think it's always a curse sometimes because you really don't know, you know, how the sales go, how the streams are? Do you think it's a plus or a curse at times?
First, it's for sure a plus. Absolutely. Like, internet is a record label. You can use it.
I like that.
You know what I mean? You can use the internet as your record label.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, look at the Rust method
and
shit like that. But, and countless other people and shit. But I say, like, the only personal decline on it is I love putting projects together. And so, like, my goal, especially with Joey, dropping on the 15th.
Yes.
Especially with Joey, is like, I want you to get through the A song and not realize that you like listened to a whole album. Like fuck, that was easy to get through. You know what I mean? And it's like, yo, you just ran through an A song catalog and shit. You know what I mean? But it's only 30 minutes. And so it's like easy to get through, but it's like an album, I feel, that's made for this time that you just specifically explained.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like there's some songs that are like long because they need to be long, like the Zaya joint, because she just sings so fucking beautiful, bro, that like that shit needs to get extended too.
How do you not make that like
you
2,
gotta
3,
shut
4?
up and just listen to this shit.
Come
like,
on,
that's
man.
what you gotta tell people, bro. So other than that though, like, you know what I mean? We got a 3-verse song with Slimmy B, Keep the Sneak, and Don Quez. And it's only like 3 minutes, man. 12 seconds. You know what I mean? But it's still, it's like just that repeat. We're not purposely making it like that. You know what I mean? But it's just like, I feel like we all naturally know what time we're in and shit. And so, because people be questioning me like, you got 8 songs? Like, all these like managers and motherfuckers be like, man, nobody gives a fuck about that. And at a point, like, they're hella right. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, I want to do this my way, motherfucker. Like, I want to make. I'm not looking for everybody else's. Like that single. Like, I don't give a fuck about that artist that's dropping singles. I want a fan base to resonate. You know what I mean? So it's like I might not have 6 people. You know what I mean? That know that one song and shit. But as long as I have that one person that knows my whole album, I'll take that shit all day, bro. You know what I mean? So it's like that will eventually grow. It's like the TDE method. You know what I mean? And so. Yeah, man, just keeping it to myself, man.
Speaks volumes when you can do it your own way and it's successful. I mean, we have been at this for a full hour. I can't thank you enough. Final question before we get out of here. When this Joey drops on the 15th, the Project Joey, what do you want to get out to the fans out there that are going to listen to this, that are going to bump this? The floor is yours. The camera's right there. The mic's right there. Shit. Jay Sirus, let the fans, the village know what they can expect from this project and what it means to you for them to listen to it.
Shit, man. This is my heart and soul for sure. This is my most proud fucking project. I feel like it's all my projects put into one, but just even better. Just a more seasoned Jay Sirus. And I want you motherfuckers to listen to that track 1 through 8 and let me know what you think, man. It's my heart for sure. So
there it is,
Joey,
man.
January 15th, motherfucker, you stupid bitch.
The heart is on the table. The tracks are done. We are less than 10 days away from the album. My brother Jay Sirus for life. His new project, Joey, January 15th. I can't wait. It's going to be crazy. Every time a new Jay Sirus drops, I got to listen to it. Thank you so much for coming by, my friend. My friend for life.
Absolutely.
Come back to the studio whenever, man. And next time we chop it up and we'll... like this. All right.
Absolutely.
Jay Sirus.
Sacked out.